My name is Chris Friends. I'm the AVP of Information Security for Interfaith Medical Center. And in terms of networking and security, we're widely known for being one of the first hospitals in the country to go zero trust. Zero trust is basically the concept where you restrict all network communications to only communications that are essential for whatever particular device to function. One of the first things you have to do to take a zero trust approach is basically to identify what's on your network. For a lot of organizations, that's actually a challenge. They really don't know all the devices that actually exist in their network. So that's one of the first things to do, is just simply figure out all the devices that are actually on that particular network. Once you establish what the devices are, the next step is really to identify how information flows between those devices. And that's useful for a lot of different reasons. One, not only will it provide the basis for doing the segmentation that you want to do later, but it also, if you know all the traffic that should be on your network, it's very good from a security perspective because it makes it very easy to identify anything that shouldn't be on the network. So it's a great exercise, even if you don't intend to do zero trust, just to establish that as a baseline within your environment. But once you establish how information flows between all the devices, you can begin to use that as a basis for figuring out what kind of rules you need to actually effectively segment your network. So we identify the devices, we identified how data flowed between the devices, and then we actually use that to put rules in place to do that. Once we got to that point, we also take a layered approach to security. So zero trust is just one of the many things that we do to secure the environment. And we take that thing, the layered approach to security, and then we actually go ahead and we actually have an incident response plan and conduct things like mock incidents and other stuff to actually go and test that security. So what a lot of organizations fail at is they may put an expensive firewall in or something else, but they forget to actually go ahead and test to see if that firewall is configured properly or not. So you might have it in place, but if the rules aren't configured properly or there's some other mistake, the security might actually be there. So the last step, and one of the things that I'm biggest on, is actually, as I mentioned with the ICAR test string, is going and actually testing the security to make sure that it actually functions properly. That's a mistake a lot of organizations actually make, is they target compliance when they're looking at their security initiatives. So they want to check all the boxes and do everything else, but for a lot of the standards, it's very easy to check all the boxes to be compliant and still be extremely insecure. We saw that largely with things like the hack of TJ Maxx years ago. They were perfectly PCI DSS compliant, but the technology was already known to be very insecure that they were using. So being compliant is often not enough, and I pretty much consider compliance like shooting for a D grade in the classroom. If you're going to go for compliance and you're going to stop there, yes, you may technically pass the class, but you're not really doing an effective job. And that's why I'm so big on the mock incidents and actually testing security, because you need to go beyond compliance and actually determine that you're actually doing things to a significant enough level to be secure, not just meeting the minimums.